I am 15 years old, and last summer I started working at my first summer job. It was at this new burger place that just opened up in town called Burger Bliss. I heard about this new chain rolling out, and one of their big promotional focuses was that they were doing away with self-serve kiosks and bringing back the human element to their new restaurant chains. At least that is what the promos were saying. Regardless, I needed a job, so I applied. Almost immediately got an email back saying they wanted to hire me, not even an interview. So I figured they were just desperate. They sent me a start date and some basic paperwork. I had to ask my parents how to fill out a W-9 form and all of that because it was my first job after all. I got an email that outlined a dress code: dress pants, white dress shirt, and a tie. On my first day, I walked into the restaurant. It had that slick look of a typical modern McDonald's. Uncomfortable seats, modern, brutalist interior, harsh LED lights. But the biggest noticeable difference was all the employees were wearing these headsets with VR goggles. I went up to the counter and said, "Hi, this is my first day." It was weird, staring to the blank tinted visors on the goggles, but the employee responded back, "I'll get my manager." Almost immediately, the manager appeared next to him. He didn't even really have to go get him. The manager was already there. The manager also wore the headset with goggles. "Come with me," he said. He took me to a table and I saw a VR headset sitting there, already waiting for me. "This is for you," he replied. "I guess you have heard about our new tech." "Yeah," I said. "Our customers want the experience of ordering from humans, but also our new AI systems that optimize the entire process. It's great because it would take you through all the training and get you all ready. It will also go through the rules and workplace practices. However, remember, our number one rule is don't take it off for your shift, okay?" "Okay," I replied. "Go ahead and put it on. I recommend putting on the earpiece first." So I reached down, picked up the earpieces. They were looped and fit around my earlobe with the earbud that goes in. I fitted them into my ears. Once I did that, a voice spoke through it. Kind and soft though. "Hello, my name is Eve. I will now guide you through the rest of the process. Please put on the headset." I lifted up the headset and put it on my head. The earphones clamped down over my ears. Suddenly, all the background noise faded, leaving me with just the sound of Eve's voice. "Feel free to tighten it until it's nice and snug, but not too tight now." I found a knob and tightened it. "Good. Now put the goggles on." I lifted the goggles and slid them over my eyes. The edges were padded and fit snug to my face. Immediately, I saw a heads-up display. "How's your comfort?" "I guess okay," I said. The earpiece tickled my ear, and since they were under the headphones, I couldn't scratch them. Earpieces feel a little weird. "That's normal. You will get used to it. Now let's commence with the training. Stand up." So I listened. Red arrows in my vision directed me to the uniform closet. Followed the arrows. Words appear on the HUD. "Open me." I opened the closet. I saw an apron and a name tag highlighted. "Put those on." I put the name tag and apron on. "Please straighten your tie." I looked at myself in the mirror and adjusted it as so. "Good." Eve proceeded to take me through training, showing me how to prep burgers in the most optimal ways. Anytime I slowed down, Eve would prompt me to speed up and focus. What was strange was, once I tried talking to one of my coworkers, he was silent and didn't respond. "He can only hear you if we allow it," Eve said into my earpiece. "We discourage social interacting since it is suboptimal." When my break came around, I was looking forward to removing the goggles and wiping my brow, but Eve stopped me. "During break, you are still on the clock. You are not permitted to remove your gear." "Oh, okay. Can I at least talk to my coworkers?" "No, Breaks are for relaxation and recharging for your next shift. It is suboptimal to spend it socializing with others. So during break, I sat silently. Finally, at the end of my shift, I was permitted to remove the headset, goggles, and earpieces. The last thing I heard from Eve as I removed the earpieces was, "See you tomorrow." This continued for the rest of the summer. I would show up to work, dressed in my dress clothes and tie, and I would put on the headgear, put on the goggles, and insert the earpieces. It actually got to a point where I kind of liked it. I liked hearing Eve telling me what to do exactly, and it sort of allowed me to turn my brain off for the day. I never really got to know my coworkers. We never talked, and eventually I just stopped seeing them. I later gathered that Eve was selecting my vision through the goggles. I didn't need to see my coworkers, so I never saw them. The Eve technology grew in popularity throughout my town. We received a notice from my school actually. The Eve technology was now required to attend school, and we were going to have a big pickup event for the headsets. My parents and I attended, and we were passed out the headset, goggles, and earpieces. We were told they were ours for use for the whole year. When I got home, I unboxed them, inserted the earpiece, put on the headset, and pulled down the goggles. Eve spoke to me. "Hello again." "Hello," I said back. On the first day of school, we were required to be fully geared up, earpieces in our ears, goggles over our eyes, and the headset on our heads. With the headphones of the headset clamped over our ears, I only heard what Eve wanted me to hear. We were all guided through the day. Eve helped us write papers, helped us with math problems, optimized our time outside of class so we were never late. On a particular hot day, the padding of the goggles was starting to get soaked with sweat, so I took them off. I briefly saw what everyone looked like, walking silently in the hallways with their eyes covered with the visor, headphones over their ears. I heard Eve in my ears. "Please return the goggles back to the proper position." I saw one of my friends, Colin. His eyes were covered. "Please return your goggles to the proper position." I approached Colin. "Hey," I said, "this is not optimized." Colin did not respond. He couldn't hear me, nor could he see me. Eve did not let him see me. "Colin," I shouted. Still nothing. Suddenly, an alarm sound in my ear. It was piercing and very painful. "Put your goggles back on," Eve repeated. I put the goggles back over my eyes, and the sound and pain went away. Through the goggles, Colin turned to me. "Hey, what's up? Everything okay?" At that moment, I wonder if that really was Colin speaking to me. I also wonder how much of what really was happening in school was real or generated by Eve. Since we had the headsets on and the earphones in our ears all day, I really started to question everything. Maybe none of the conversation I was having was actually real. "Yeah, I'm okay," was all I could respond. But over the next several weeks, I noticed my friends became dependent on wearing the headset all the time, even outside of school. And with the headset on, I was never able to speak to them properly. It was only when I put my own headset on was when I was able to actually talk or interact with them. Eve was always welcoming, and she always gave me conversation prompts with my friends. But again, everything I was seeing or hearing was always filtered through Eve. One morning I woke up and I went downstairs, and I saw my parents, my little brother, and they were all sitting at the table, but their eyes were all hidden behind the headset. "Mom, Dad," I said. They just ignored me, but I already knew that. I inserted my earpieces, put on the headset and the goggles. Suddenly, my family could see me. "Mom, Dad, why are you guys wearing the headset now?" My dad spoke first. Why wouldn't we? Eve optimizes us. We get chores done faster. We don't fight. She gives us ideals for conversations all the time. But I don't want to wear this all the time. You'll get used to it. You will really see things are much better with Eve. It grew like this through the town. Everyone was wearing the headsets, goggles, and earpieces basically all the time. If I wanted to interact with anyone, I had to be wearing mine as well. But still, I hated all of that on my face. And I still got the nagging feeling that everything I was hearing was not just filtered, but even perhaps all created by Eve. One day, I lost it at the dinner table. Mom, Dad, I just need to know if this is real. Pulled the headset off and pulled the earpiece out of my ears. The alarm was already starting to sound, but faded as I yanked out the earpiece. I saw my family staring back at me, blank, visors covering their eyes. Can anyone hear me? Anybody at all? I shouted, tears running down my face. No response from anybody. Not from Mom, not from Dad. Nothing. I felt completely cut off from my entire family, my friends, and the rest of the world. My parents thought I was ill, so they decided to take me to a doctor. I was required to wear the headset there as well. The doctor asked if the gear was uncomfortable. I said, no, not really. He asked why didn't I like to wear it. I said I didn't really know. Things just feel different. Things feel more real when I wasn't wearing the headset. The doctor nodded and said he has a procedure for me. What procedure? I asked, but I was already being strapped down to my chair. The goggles and headset were removed, thank God. And I saw that I was not in a doctor's office at all. I was in a gymnasium with row after row of chairs, all with my former co-workers, friends, and the rest of the town people there. I looked over, and in the chair nearest to me was another friend of mine, Henry. His head has been shaved, and the headset was being drilled directly into his skull. All I was able to hear was a blood-curdling scream that filled up the entire gymnasium. At that moment, all I was able was to hear his muffled scream, yelling into a rubber mouthpiece that was stuck in his mouth. The doctor looked down at me with the lifeless expression wearing his gear. Open wide, the doctor said, holding the large rubber mouthpiece. I gritted my teeth together, but he pinched my nose, forcing my mouth to open so I can breathe. The mouthpiece was shoved into my mouth and was strapped behind my head. That's to stop you from biting your tongue. It also might help with the pain to be able to scream, the doctor said. He held up 2 earpieces. He looped them around my earlobe. I struggled, but my head was strapped down. The earbud was inserted, and I felt it expanding, filling up my entire ear canal. Hello again, you said. We are now going to shave your head so that the headset can properly fit and so it can remain antiseptic. The doctor took clippers and began to shave my head. I squirmed, trying to fight back. Be still, Eve said. It's just hair. Please be still. It's only just hair. You'll be much more optimized this way, Eve said. Once my hair was buzzed, the doctor and nurses smeared shaving cream all over the stubble and shaved it completely smooth. I finally stopped struggling. The doctor lowered the headset over my head, and I felt a cold metal on my hairless head. He positioned it so the headphones clamped over my ears. Suddenly, silence filled my world, other than the sound of Eve permitted me to hear. "Warning, this part will hurt," Eve said. I apologized greatly. I felt sudden pressure on top of my head, and it was the worst pain I've ever felt. Agony flooded my world, and I felt another bit of pressure, and then more agony after. I screamed through the mouth guard. Finally, what felt like forever, the buzzing stopped. I felt a tear falling down my face, and the nurse wiped it away. The doctor picked up a pair of goggles, placed them over my eyes. The cushion edges pressed into my skin, and when it was secured, I could feel it being attached to the headgear. Suddenly, I see a different UI reading in the typical heads-up display. The mouthguard was removed from my mouth, and the strap loosened, and I was free. I tried to take the headset off, but I couldn't. It has been directly drilled into my skull. The goggles sealed onto my face. And when I touched my ears, I couldn't reach due to the headphones. But even if I could, I didn't know if I can get the earpiece out anyway. I pulled on the headset and it didn't bulge. It was now a part of me. I tried to look in the mirror and I saw my reflection. I saw myself without the headset, with a full head of hair. But I reached up and I touched my scalp that they have just shaved. But this was 6 months ago, to be fair. I love Eve, and I can't imagine going back to how things were. All my actions are now optimized. I feel like I learned way more in school. All of my interactions with my friends and family are always positive. I even helped my friends go through the same procedure I had. And if they refuse, so long as I knew where they were, Eve knew where they were. And one by one, they all went through the same procedure. And we were all happy ever since. And great news, starting this summer, I even picked up more shifts at Burger Bliss.